Hello, everybody. Drum Education Live, episode number 39. And today we have the great Eric Boudreault with us. He's a great drummer from Canada. He's from a small town called Alma, which in Portuguese means soul.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah,
So, he's a drummer with soul.
I hope so.
So, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And let's kick things off with Kira. Kira, your question, Kira.
Your question.
Okay, let's jump in. What do you think is missing from drum education today, if anything?
If something is missing,
Yeah, what it is.
correct. No, I think it's more support for kids from government, school, because I realize some countries have a lot of support for their kids and to grow up as good musicians, some other not. And even in a country, you can have cities they will support even more. I think this is a very good point to develop more, I guess, in the future because before you could pay a lot of money, go to one school, random university, and college, but you will still be a little group of person. But now with social media and all, the community of musicians is so huge in the world. It's harder, I think, to make your place and find your way and all that. But I mean, if you're a very good musician, the school, the government, and all, they should really put a bit of money and just even pay like tuition, like trip or stuff like that for helping them to grow up as a musician. I think it's one of the things should be better.
Okay, how is it in Canada? Does the
Um,
government help or not much?
yeah, it helps. We have different levels. You can go with the federal and the provincial. So if you go federal, you will have support. Provincial too, but depend of which province. So and it depends of which cities. For example, we have I've been like taking care of kids like sometime or even project. And just to give you an example, you're a band, you want to make your album. Um, you can go to the city council. They will see if they have like they always have like little money, like a bank of money to for you guys for the young kids, young blood. And what they will say, we need someone to take care of that group. So usually I did that a few times. I sign it for them, and I'm taking care of the budget, the project, the realization. So sometimes they will pay a little salary, some equipments. For example, if you want to go record an album, they will pay a part of the studio, sometimes all. That's a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah.
When I went to NAM show long time ago, I did a lot of times, but I mean in 2011 I performed there, and I called my government and I asked for money for flight, hotel, and per diem, and we got it. I got it. We're four musicians. They pay all the fees for that. Of course, not the salary, but at least the minimum for we can go from point A to point B. You know.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing to have. And when you start, for example, if you go to Berkeley College in Boston, a year is like 35,000 US dollars or something like that. So it's a lot of money.
Yes.
If you make the math after 4 years, you can have a pretty cool car. So I mean, so it's something
point.
I think if you can have a support to go there. I
Yeah.
know Berkeley is very cool because they're gonna make auditions and they will see what kind of musician you are, and they can give you like money for whatever, like maybe a discount on the first year, whatever. They have different levels
Uh-huh.
of help, but if the government can help, it's another way to and an accessibility to have an accessibility to that university, for example.
Exactly.
Well, I was just wanting to ask about your beginnings really into drumming and who were your early teachers and influences?
Well, it started in I think when my mom was pregnant. I was bashing the belly all the time. They went to see a rock show, and my mom said, like, you were so active. So at the age of 2, 3 years old, I asked for my first drums. I got my first kit at
Wow.
3. Yeah, it was pretty young age. I remember it was like actually I was playing on pots and pans, and and I break all the spoon from my grandmother, like all the wood spoon. So they were very annoyed by me. So they said, we're gonna get a kit for that dude. So I got a kit. I started to play for about like a year and a half. It was a bad kit, but it was a kit. I was like a Sears, it's a store we have here. Like Sears is like I don't know, like those big shopping mall, like so they get the kit, like those kit, all is on the bass drum. Like the tom, the crashes, the hi-hat, all this I've been plugged it there. So yeah, I got that kit. And at 5 years old, I start my first real drum lessons. Um, I don't remember my first teacher, honestly. Sorry about if he's listening, but he was a student from the college. I was a drummer, like studying in college in Alma, because Alma is a small city, but they have a very good music college. It's
Okay.
something very cool. Yeah, for a 32,000 people city, they have a like international level education there. So the student they taught me for about a year, and after that, my family wanted to be sure I will do drums. So I started to play the violin, the piano, and guitar. So I took different lessons for about 2 years, but I was still playing
All
drums.
of the same time.
No, like
Okay.
mostly like what I did, I think 1 year or two of piano and 2 years of violin and guitar after that
Okay.
at the same music school, but I was still playing like drums at back home. And later on, like around 8 years old or something like, they opened because we had a little, like those private school, not college, like private school,
Yeah.
music school. So I got access to go there because I've been the first drum student to that school. So my first lesson was like, let's build the drum. So we assemble all the parts. Was quite cool actually. Yeah. And I remember I remember was Real. Real was the my first drum teacher, and he was a cool guy because and a cool drummer too, because the first lesson is like, Eric, you won't just play drums. You will play marimbas, and you will try to play accessories like alternate percussion or world percussion, stuff like that. So I've learned like play marimbas. Of course, later on with 4 sticks, but at the beginning it was only 2 sticks. And after we did like stuff like weird stuff like triangle shakers. But it's funny, but at 9 years old, I got my first gig in the orchestra from Quebec. So I've been,
That's what I was going to ask. When did you start professionally? At 9? Yeah, and the answer is yes, at 9.
yeah, around 9 years old. But making money, I will say around 15,
Okay,
6,
that's pretty
playing
good.
14, 15. I was playing in clubs. Back then, we had a lot of clubs. Like now, people they're staying in their house and they're watching YouTube, But
We
so I
know
was not
that too
even
well.
sorry.
We know that too well.
Oh yeah, well, there's the new era. But yeah, well, playing with bands, local bands, and and actually I was always the youngest. I was 14, 15, and the other musicians, they were like 24, 21, whatever. And I grew up with a lot of it's funny. I with those bands, I grew up with like the CCR, the Beatles, Rolling Stone, all those classics. And I had my bands, but we didn't do gig with those. And I was doing metal and punk band, like completely different. So I was able at a young age to separate. That's a gig for making money, and that's a gig for having fun. But I can have fun with all, with both. I've learned because some kids will say, I play metal and I won't never play those gigs because I won't have fun. It's not true. You can always find something cool in whatever style. Yeah, and those musicians, they were good guides for me too, because when you're 14, you don't know really what is a gig, but then yes, what is a sound check, how you play, how you put your kit, are you going to bring your double bass drum or not, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
was a good start, I guess.
excellent.
I guess there's lots of things I want to talk about, but
Let's do that.
your drumming book, um, the language, drumming language book.
Yeah, drumming language.
What, how did the idea come around? What was it that inspired you to write it?
Well, it's a long story, but I make it short because I have a lot of ideas, but it's hard to innovate in books. Okay, like because everybody did everything. Okay, and even with the old books, I'm still a big fan of syncopation, new breed, stick control, and I have a few other top 5 books I like to work with. But I wanted a book. You go to a gig and you have everything on it. So the book has only like 100 pages around, and it's you can have songos and like a samba, whatever, like world beat patterns. But at the same time, you have the rudiments at the beginning, and at the end, you have like a cookbook kind of part. You can take tops and bottoms and build stuff. So I was at school, And when I was 16, I decided one day. Actually I saw the lights. I saw Gods, and I saw, but it was Horacio Hernandez, and he was playing the left foot clave, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to do that stuff. So, but I didn't know where to start. So I showed up to my college. Actually, I was 17. So, and I remember because I went to the college and I was playing, but I couldn't make it. So I remind my teacher remind me, Eric, always sing patterns to be able to play those. So I start
Mm.
singing the claves, playing like the cascara or like whatever ostinato on drums, and yeah, and it's from there the book start. I start writing patterns and patterns and patterns and a ton of patterns. And one day, yeah, I just decided to put it all those things together. But the thing is, I shop for someone for like write the book for me, like put all that stuff in the computer and like all the web design, like like so. But it was expensive, and I wanted to make it myself. So I called finally and Sibelius, and I call with those company directly. And finally, I end up with Finale because Finale has a lot of options. You could have the big like program, but without the all the sounds bank. I didn't need the bank sound. It was for record, like for writing a book. So I wrote the book quite fast. Actually, it took me around 6 months. Like, I mean, like, it sounds long, but it's not too long, because when you start from first page to the end, making the design and all. And yeah, I think I sold around 2,000 of it, and
Wow.
and a lot online, a lot of data version. Now I stopped. It's not available now. I'm doing the 2.0 version. Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna come, but I'm thinking end of 2021 is what I'm
Okay.
targeting
Cool.
right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Let
Great.
us
Yep.
know so we can buy it.
I will give you for you guys a PDF version
Thank
for
you.
sure. Yep.
Thanks.
So now, uh, you said when you started professionally, you were playing a metal punk band, and then but you were making money with the classic rock thing, like
Yep.
Creedence and Beatles and Rolling Stones and stuff.
Exactly.
Um, have you played a variety of musical styles in Canada, or is very rock oriented?
It's pretty depend on where you are in Canada. That's the thing. It's the second biggest country in the world after Russia. So, like, for example, it's big. Like, for example, one friend the other day told me, "Hey, I'm Canada. I'm in Calgary. We should hang." Calgary and Montreal is 4,000 kilometer distance. You know what I mean? So cool, but we're not at the same page, my
Yeah.
friends. But anyway, but but we have different. If you go more in the west part, it will be like a center part. I mean, will be more like a Western country rock. Where Quebec is really different. If you go in the south part, we'll have country western. Where Quebec City is really rock, metal, punk. Montreal is all what you want, like have like Latin stuff, jazz, all is mixed up. Little town, you can, but we also have French music there, so like traditional French music or the new French music. So from Quebec or from France, so or Belgium, and it's coming in Canada. So we have a big mix of a lot of things. I would say in those, like in Quebec, if you want to make it, you need to be very versatile, and you need to know to do a good backbeat, play with a click track. Um, it's what where's the gig are mostly like even for recording would be pop artists like in general. So if you, of course, you can be a jazz drummer. There's a few very cool places to play jazz, but it's even if you're like the really niche person and you're not in that crew of person, you're gonna make it. If not, it's kind of harder. So you need to really be a drummer, a musician, like very open-minded to open different doors and play different styles.
And for example, if anybody asks me, is I'm a rock drummer.
Yep.
I can play a lot of different styles, but my core is of a rock drummer. My
Yep.
question to you is, if I ask what kind of drummer are you, what would you say?
Ooh, tough call. If I will go with what I pay my bills for 15 more plus years was, I would say I'm a circus drummer. Uh, I don't juggle, well, I can, but but because in some shows I have to do acting. You
Oh,
have to go
really?
on. Oh yeah, you have to be to. I had classes for clowns. You have to. They show you how to have a presence on stage, how to walk, how to. Yeah, it's kind of intense, but it's fun. So yeah, big gigs. I think I've been known for two kind of things in general, like big production, like like 300 shows per year, 2,000 to 10,000 people at the time, or completely like chops and performances. But I'm able to separate completely that. When I do those gigs, I don't bring all those things. I don't need to play my gospel chop when I do those shows. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
not making sense. It's we play for the song. So yeah. But now, since a few years, I do way more like studio recording gigs.
Okay.
Like yeah,
Okay.
My
mostly.
question was about touring actually,
Uh-huh.
because I saw that, yeah, you've just done an insane amount, um, which is incredible. And I just wondered if you had any tips for someone starting out with that kind of life, that, um, how can you make the best out of a tour so that you feel fresh for each show? How
that's
did you do it?
That's a very good question. I just to mention, I've been the casting director for 3 years for a company called Samajam, and those shows are making tour mostly in Asia. Um, and what I was looking for, it was not the best drummer ever. We were looking for someone can handle to be living in a hotel room, sharing a room, sometimes be on a tour bus, be the cool person, because if you drive 10 hours you can be not the cool person, uh, be able to do the same shows over and over without getting tired. It's a really good accumulation of things. Now is good time because pandemic, I would say the pandemic bring time for practice. I would say play with click tracks a lot of music, and everything you do, play at 40 and go until 240, for example. Some stuff you won't be able to do at 240, but I mean, in general, try to really have a big range of tempos. Back to tour, when I was touring, my first big tour, like, I mean, a big tour, like, was 2003. And I was starting the Cavalia show, the first shows they have done with horses. And also I got a call, and the composer was Michel Cusson, a great guitar player from Quebec. He was playing with Paul Brochu, a drummer very known in Canada. And yeah, he gave me the call, and I remember the first talk we had together. He's like, Eric, you can do all all you will see on the music sheet, you can do, but are you okay to be away for years? And I'm like, I think so. So I've been able to manage well, because the thing is, I've seen so many musicians, they're on the tour. The first month they're like, yeah, they're learning the show. The second month they're completely lost of mind because they are missing mom, dad, their best friend, the restaurant of the corner of the street, stuff like that, or they don't have access to all the gear you want. For example, if you're a guitar player and you play with a, I don't know, like a big stack of Marshall, you don't have that in the studio necessarily. So it's an adaptation. You need to, when you do your show at night, when you will back to your hotel or condominium. I've been lucky, I'm touching wood, but those tour was condominium, only 2 person in big condominium. So we didn't have like to share like bed to bed, like close, very close. But you have to find hobbies. It's not music. You need to be interested about books, like movies, whatever. That's why it's cool, because when you're on tour with artists from Cirque in general, whatever Cirque you're working with, they don't talk about drums. They don't really want to talk about drums. So they talk about their food, how they are losing weight, or they go to the gym. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting, because that give you more energy when you're gonna play your music, because it's I can say, like, it's stories from other person, and it become yours in some ways. So yeah, I really like that, and I think everybody, they need to be prepared to be super solid, playing playing sharp. Um, at the beginning, like I said, you're kids. I was green. My first tour, big tour. I was like 23. I was like around 23 years old, around, like in 2003. So I remember I bring my bass drum, oh, my cymbal, wood block, like a lot of things. We don't need that. Okay. So in general, sorry, but in those gigs, you don't need, except if it's a side of percussion. That's the point. My drum set now was only a very basic kit, 2-tom floor, kick, couple of cymbals. But I had a kind of Mike Portnoy-ish double set, but percussion. So with like a shikiri, djembe, a sordo, a lot of percussions on the side. And that was cool because that bring me like, okay, now I will do my thing, but when I'm on the drum, I'm on the drum. But I have an electronic controller. At the beginning, it was mixed with the hybrid kind of electronic kit. But I decided with the musical director to put all in the computer. So I only have two pads. So it was next, next, or stop. And we were running Ableton Live with Contact, running like sounds, like different sounds. At the beginning, I was playing live every. It was very hard because every beats for creating attention, they were plugged in a control pad, like an octapad kind of thing. But when it's dark, even if you put like fluorescent tape, it's very hard to hit the right. So I started sometimes wrong loops, and we don't want that, So we decided no. When it's a section with a groove, the groove will be done in the computer. What's going to make the difference is the musicality of all the musicians. It's going to be organic. So it's very important. People right now wants to tours like that. They need to play with computer, play with like all electronic as you can. You need to know like Ableton Live. You don't need to know Pro Tool and all. One is okay, like Logic or Cubase, whatever you need. It's an obligation to do that. And you need to know a lot of things like how to manage time with the sound engineer, like how to even put microphones, because sometimes the sound engineer, you have a tech, but it doesn't have to come, it doesn't have time to come to your place. So you need to know how to place your microphone. At the end, I was better than the sound engineer to put my own mics. Even if they set up my drums, they was, okay, Eric, can you do that? Yeah, perfect. So I was always putting the mics at the right place. So I've learned a lot from that too. So a little bit of sound technician too could be a very good add-on to skills of people they would like to tour a lot, I guess.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, how did the Cirque du Soleil job came about, and how, if there was an audition, how was the audition?
Actually, this my first gigs was not Cirque, was Cavalia. Cavalia is different. It's
Yeah,
part
yeah.
is another company. So Cavalia was Michel. Michel gave me a call because I was doing a sound like soundtrack for CBC. CBC is like the BBC. So we were doing that like for television show and stuff. And it's long time ago. I was in '99. He called me and he's like, "Hey, Rick, you don't know me. I'm Michel. I'm a song like a guitar player, composer." I'm like, "Yeah, I know you." So so he is very famous here. So I'm like, okay. So can you do some tracks? So yeah, okay. So it started like that, and later, hey, I have a gig for you. Are you up to that? So I'm like, okay, but what is the gig? And it was Cavalia. I didn't audition. I didn't do audition. Actually, I didn't do much auditions. I did a few auditions, uh, but it's really like people knowing me, calling me, can you do that? The only audition I've done most of the time, it is not for the music director, it's not for the casting crew, it's for one artistic director. Like he was looking. It's okay. For example, an artistic director can do whatever he want, and if he want, like let's say, I want a drummer with red hair, so and I want that guy flip his stick all the time, and if I don't do that, you're getting kicked. So sometimes they have demands for audition for a cast, a special cast for a gig. I did that a few times for Cirque actually, and sometimes you have, sometimes you don't have the gig. Even if you got the call, the music is, I want you on the drum. Yeah, but the artistic director is looking for something. It's not about your musicality. It's about a casting for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. I wanted to ask you about Drumeo.
Yeah.
Because I saw an amazing video of you
Okay.
blasting away at Drumeo, and I'm just curious about how that partnership kind of came together, and you know how that developed.
I was in Vancouver touring with I know, no, sorry, I was on my way to be in Vancouver with Odisseo, the second show for Cavalia, and I got an email from Dave, not Jared, but Dave wrote me, and he's like, hey, I saw Cavalia will be in town with Odisseo. Are you up to come to Drumeo? And that's it. So I said, perfect. So, but we have to postpone it because they never or almost never have snowstorm there. And my date I was supposed to record, they got a snowstorm. So it was quite funny, like 1 feet of snow. So I'm like, whoa. So after that, they called me back. We postponed the recording, and we did that, and this was super cool. They're very cool crew. Actually, it was a limited crew because it was maybe 3 days after that storm, or 4 days. So the street were still better, but not perfect. So I remember, like, instead to be the full crew, there were like 2 engineer, Daves, and one other guy, and that's it. So it was pretty family kind of thing.
Great. And
Mhm.
I take it that they just said, come play what you want.
Yes and no. They told me you need like around 4 songs. I don't remember how many I did. I think it's that by memory. It was in 2017, and he asked me, like, can you talk a bit about, like, independence, because I can I like to integrate it for practicing, not for in my regular situation of playing music, but like, let's say, playing clavier of the foot and do a bambe with the left hand, and do a rock beat on with the right foot, and the top hand with the right hand. So he asked me if he guide me with stuff, but after that was yeah, only 4 or 5 songs, and like, we'll talk about, like, playing things around. It was quite cool. Yeah, I really like it.
Cool. That is
Cool.
great.
Yep.
Uh, I have a question that's not much to do with drumming, but what was happening with you when the pandemic hit and everything had to be stopped?
Like, start.
What was But what were you doing? Like,
Oh,
this is my job, and now we have this thing, and everything is stopped. What were
I,
you doing?
well, I was going back to with Cirque in March, mid March, and I got a call. Don't come back soon because it won't happen. I didn't go. And it's very funny because I was supposed to start 2 years ago my channel, a bit like your channels, and finally, I because of the pandemic, I started. But I was quite busy. I didn't stop. I was supposed to be back on tour. I was doing also sound technician job, because I like sometimes not just be a drummer. I like to be I'm a project manager, actually, so I like sometimes to do project. Most of is all related with entertainment, but I like to build, like, sound equipment and things. So that make me disconnect from drumming. So when I back, I'm fresh, because it's some people will only do that doing that. On my side, I cannot. I just can't. I like to have 2 3 different ways I can use every day or every month for getting me in a hop mode. So it's a well, but pandemic arrived, and I start drinking. No, sorry. No, no. I'm very good. Actually, you can always choose the option to be sad and stay in your place, and like it's gonna be worse and worse, or change another. So I decided to just keep the good energy, and of course, I cut reading the news. Sorry, not
Mm.
because I don't like that. I don't. I'm reading news, but way less than before. I focus on my music. I have a lot of not a lot, but I have a few students. And yeah, and I'm restarting recording now. I had a session last week. I will do a few in the next weeks, and for jingles and television things. And by this time, it's cool. Now I don't have an electronic kit here. I only have a practice setup. I have a full kit, but I cannot play that loud. So I have access here to 2 studios. I can go record with all the mask, the distances, and cleaning his hand and all, and I'm back home after that. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I was going to ask you about teaching actually,
Okay.
because on your website, you've got this really good quote.
Okay.
Um, did I write it down? No. It's saying about like
That's
I'm going to
okay.
paraphrase.
That's
You're
fine.
basically saying about trying to be yourself.
Uh-huh.
Don't try and be. I'm not going to try and be Felipe because I'm never going to be him.
No.
I'm just going to be the number two.
Which is a great thing. Which is a
Oh.
great thing.
So, I guess my question is, with that in mind, how do you encourage your students to be themselves when perhaps they don't know who that is yet?
It's a good question because I had a lot of students by the past. Maybe I don't know how many now, but maybe 3, 4, 500 students. No idea, because I was teaching for a few years in a high school,
Mm.
so I have a lot of drummers there and musicians too, from I mean playing other instruments. But when you're a kid, you're 12, 14, you see your idols, okay? You're like, I want to be Travis Barker. I will dress like him. I will eat like him. I will try to buy cars like him. I will do whatever he do for be exactly like him. It's not bad. We call that copy and paste. You will take that, you will integrate that to your body, and you will copy the patterns he will do, and you will try to reproduce. When you grow up as a person, you need to have that soul, like you mentioned. You have to have that spirit to that sparkling will make you a different person because everybody are different. So most of the time when I'm trying to explain to my students, like, take whatever you want from all the drummer as you like, and even try to reach other you don't like. For example, I have a few drummer, they're metal drummer, just metal. And for example, the other day I'm like, okay, let's try to look at some country drummer. That's so bad, country music, you know what I mean? So like, no, you will look at those, and I'm challenging you to make it sounds great. So some start to have different um, inspiration. And when you got all those inspiration, put it on you and try to emulate, but with your own setup, your own sound, your own personality. And usually I'm starting to develop step by step that, because I always say you can be the number one is you. So the number second, I mean, if you try to be a number one, you won't be. You will be always a number second. So you can be a big fan of a drummer and it's cool, but it doesn't mean the drum set for him will fit for you, or you know what I mean. So for example, I have friends, they will kill for meet Neil Peart. Now it's too late, but I mean, they would have liked to meet him in person, and they will set their drum like him and do. And I just mentioned that the other day in an interview, and then they're like, "Well, it's weird when I play on my setup. It doesn't feel. I feel weird. Of course, the setup have been set up for him, and he has a creativity in the back for that. It has a musical purpose of that. There's a physiognomy purpose of that. It doesn't mean that setup fit for you. You can like him and integrate what you like from him in your own setup. So it's an example. Now we're talking about gear, but most of the time I really encourage people to have their own color, their own thing. Take chances. It's not because one of your drummer will put two thumb in the front, it may good for you. Maybe you're the person, you will need only one thumb, or maybe you will move those thumb. Maybe your physiognomy doesn't bring you with the shoulder too close. I don't know. There's a lot of study about that. So I really encourage the people to try things, copy all you can, and after that, bring your own things with those vocabularies.
Cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
On that note, which I think is very important, I have a friend that she, for years and years and years and years, was playing with two tom toms in front of her, and she's quite short, so she was
Okay.
having all kinds of problems in her shoulders, and then one day she decided, you know what, I'll take this tom off, and she says like
Change life.
she's playing like no problem at all, no pain, nothing, absolutely nothing. You know
So true. So
exactly.
true. You have a good setup in your back. I can see. How do you use
So
two thumbs, or what is your
yeah,
setup? Yeah.
I have two toms, but um, so I have two toms,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not on the bass drum.
Okay.
So
They're mounted on the thumb. So your
yeah,
your bass drum is a shift like that.
yeah,
So
it's
the
a little
thumb is
bit to
like
the
it.
right with the two toms and the snare drum in the middle.
Okay. Well, but this is a good example because sometimes there's a space lost there, so you can fill up. I mean, between the hi hat and the thumb,
Yeah,
and so it's you shift, and you don't rush to have that articulation like that or
exactly.
too high. Yeah, it's a very good
And
move.
as an old man, I try to be comfortable with. So by when I look at videos from me when I was 20 years old, my cymbals were like I would have to have a ladder to play the cymbals. Now it's all very low, and because I play open-handed, so kind of my drum kit expands in both directions. You know,
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it
so
makes sense. Makes sense. And you, Kiara, what kind of
Mine,
setup?
well, I just used to have one rack tom, but now I've got this pink one,
Okay.
um, from eBay, because
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm kind of, to be honest, I got that because I was teaching here before the pandemic, and I thought, well, I need this for them if they're doing some exam pieces, if I don't have a tom. So I've enjoyed it because for a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time I've just had one. So I've really enjoyed it, but I'm still questioning myself. I'm like, mm, do I want that there? Maybe just move it over. Not sure.
Yeah,
Well,
make your trial.
I'm glad you have it because of teaching, not because of better influence from me.
That's a
No,
good one. Well,
Yeah.
could be cool
back in the
too.
day.
Well, because I grew up. I grew up before, but I started drumming in the '80s. And the '80s, you had this massive drum
Massive
kit.
kid.
Yeah,
Mm.
and so I love massive drum kits, even though I never had one. But you can
Yeah, I
you can
try.
always you can always dream.
It's funny you say that. I went a lot of time DW factory because I'm a DW in Dorsey, and one day Chris told me, "Hey Rick, let's go check it out." So he showed me the Terry Bozzio kit because he has a few. He has the American Dream One, American Dream Two, jazz setup, So and it's just set up at 4 bass drum.
Yeah,
So
the jazz setup
yeah,
has four bass
yeah,
That's
drums.
he has four bass
hilarious.
drum. Yep. Actually, I saw him at the Baked Potato in California. He has only 2 bass drum, but he has like 3 tom, 2 floor, a few cymbals, not too much. Actually, the kit was really like short.
For terribles, it was a really small kit.
Yeah, do bass
But
drum.
that's a small venue.
Yes, it
Yes,
is,
He
so
but
has to
small.
keep it small.
So true. But yeah, I think there's a lot of drummer. They really like that to have that dream set like going around the house. I really try. When I was a kid, I was big fan of like 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 2 kick. I bought a kit. I was like around 14. I never been able to play with those kits. It's just not for me. I just can't have a big setup. I think I'm losing where I am. So I'm trying to go like with less things around me. If not, I'm kind of lost. Even cymbals, I love cymbals. I mean, I'm a big crazy gear freak for cymbals, but now I'm dropping my setup because I realized if it's too much, it's not doesn't work with my playing. So I'm bringing stuff down.
when I was 15, 16, I remember with a friend of mine who also played drums, we were like talking about, oh, I want this kit with two bass drums, 8 toms, 2 4 toms, 55 million cymbals. and
Yeah.
and one day we were talking about this, and his father walked into the living room and said, "That's stupid because you're gonna have all of those drums, and then after the gig, you're gonna say, 'Oh my God, I forgot to play that.'"
I forgot that one. And it's you know what? It happens to me. I did a drum clinic just before the pandemic, like March 8th, just before the shutdown and the lockdown. And I had a side snare. I didn't use it one time. Yeah, I think I use it for put my glass of water and like my wallet. So that's it. It was good
Okay,
fun.
so since we're still living in the pandemic and lockdown, well, I know how Drumfilled Kafé came about.
Yep.
Basically, everybody is locked in their house. There's nothing to do, so instead of drummers, let's become YouTubers now.
Yep.
So,
So in
basically,
some ways,
but
yep.
please tell us, to the people who are watching, what is Drumfilled Kafé?
Well, like I said that my primary idea was way before pandemic, was in 2016. My idea was to the same name, it was the same name. The name was there at that time. I wanted to go in a coffee shop, me and a drummer, 2 cameras or 3, and drinking a coffee and talking about music. That was my concept, to go in different places, little like recording gear, and talking about things like that, like drum influences, music in general. But it didn't happen. So basically, what I want to reach with that, it started very slow, but it started very fast because I have a lot of friends in the industry. So I call like Rick Latham, like Todd Zuckerman, like all those guys, and they said, yeah, let's do it. So it became very big, like quick. So of course we don't have millions of viewers, but we have a very steady followers. So every show is the same person, and they are asking questions. So it's growing up, and it's nice. Basically, now that we have a target plan on a business plan on 4 years. So for the third season, started yesterday, for until April, sorry, end of April, it will be the same. We'll have like interviews with people from like all around the world, because we have a world edition. It's in English. Now it's once a month instead to be twice. We have a French edition. It's every week, and we have a Spanish version starting February the 3rd. That's pretty nice because now I don't speak Spanish perfect, but I can. But I asked to have host, so they will host the show for me. And now soon we're gonna have some news with you, my friend. So I will open a Portuguese like division, because we want to reach a lot of people from all around the world. And not just that, the concept is to link everybody. We don't want to be Drumeo, because they're my friend. They do very good, and they do their things. Same with with the drum channel, like Don Lombardi's good friend of mine. We won't do what they do. So slowly we're gonna build up stuff. We're gonna have more, even playing, but we will go in different ways those guys do, for don't be in their way. That's it. And but we don't plan to do that before, I would say, end of 2021, because we don't want to grow too fast. It can implode, we can just be getting tired. We're 4 person. I'm the founder and the artistic director of the thing, but I have a chief editor. Frank Camus was the chief editor of Drum Etc. magazine, the biggest drum magazine we had in Canada for a long time. And 2 other guys like Denis and Vince, they're taking care of the show with us. It's very hard to manage like around, I don't know, 55 interviews per session, per season, sorry, and getting like good content. And we don't want to have only famous people. That's not the point. We want to have people from like an amateur of drum to the professional drummer. So we give chance. It's very hard to make the schedule, honestly, because we really want to match good person, like one, like maybe intermediate drummer with one professional, or one percussion player with one girl drummer, one, like, it's, we want to make give a chance to everyone to be part of that. We don't care about like sex, color, whatever. It's for everybody. Everybody, they want to be on it. And they're really in the drum or music industry. We give the chance to them. Now it's cool, because if some people would like to be a part of, they can send us resumes, like a bio and a picture, video links to info@drumfillscafe.com, because we'll start in mid-March, I guess, like to start to look at who's going to be in the 4th season.
Cool.
And yeah, but it's demanding. It's very demanding, but we like it. It's growing up, and we want to give the chance to everybody to have a platform for they can talk about music.
Excellent. Great.
Cool.
Well, Kieran, that time of our session that you dread, the last question.
Oh,
Okay. I guess mine is about the pandemic
uh-huh.
and whether it's changed any decisions that perhaps you've made going into this year in terms of your career. So when touring happens again, has anything changed you in that sense of not being able to tour?
Yeah, sometimes I wish I could play more with people and be on the road. You can always uh, go outside of the tour, but the tour cannot go out of you. That's what I see, because it's very important. It's something that drive you. But at the same time, like I said, I have other goals. I'm not like I'm not living in the past. So things will back one day. So in the meantime, I am achieving other dreams, other things. I have my Instagram, my Facebook. I talk about stuff, but I don't put all the picture of my dogs, my food, my stuff. So I'm very like kind of quiet on that. I like my privacy. So I don't I don't need to tell everyone what all the time what I do too in music. So I manage well. I have good contacts with studios and producer, so I can still do things. And I'm using the pandemic for finishing my book, Drumfilled Kafé. Now I'm composing songs. I never had time to do that. I'm doing that. So I'm using that time, because I know when it's going to restart will be very fast and very, I won't have time. So I'm not in a syndicate. So usually I can work 40, I can work 80 hours a week. So we're a musician. So I know it's the time for doing things like that.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent. Well, sir, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation. It was very cool for you guys. Yep. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Great. Excellent. Sorry about I wasn't picking my nose. It was just scratching.
No, don't do that again. No.
That's a very cool, very nice way to end this interview.
Yeah.
Picking my nose. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and just being here, really. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. See you
Thank you.
guys.
No
See
worries.
ya.
Stay safe. Bye
You
bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.